Hello, this is Pastor Derek Thomas of Living Witness Ministries. Welcome to the Word of Witness podcast. I'm excited because this week, friends, we actually have our first in studio guest. I'm so excited about it. I'm so thankful for it. My brother and I have been talking about doing this podcast for quite some time. So I'd like to introduce my friend and my brother, James Robinson. God bless you, James. It's a pleasure having you here, man.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you coming in. We have a lot that we want to discuss. And what we want to talk about this week, friends, is we want to talk about the importance of making decisions from a lifelong standpoint that are going to give you godly fruit. And it's important to understand that because in the society in which we live today and in all that's happening, we've got to be mindful of the seeds that we sow. And for many of us as men of color, one of the biggest challenges we have is just finding a place and a space in which we belong. So one of the commonalities that, two of the commonalities, I should say, that Brother James and I had is that when we were both in college, we both pledged fraternities. And we also both found when we got to our AD after deliverance days and we met Christ that we needed to go back and kind of retrace those steps and renounce what it is that we did. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So James, again, I appreciate you being here. Why don't you just tell a little bit as you're comfortable, tell a little bit about your story, and we'll kind of talk about the importance of doing that.
Oh, great. Well, again, I thank you for
Absolutely.
having me on here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Sure.
So, my story is kind of like most men.
Sure.
Always, we're looking for something.
Yes.
That brotherhood, that manhood.
Absolutely.
That
Yes.
next level.
Yes.
So, after I got out of the military, and I was 23 when I got out.
Yes.
I had just got out of combat. I had served in the military. So, and I was in it. So,
Okay.
for me, I was still looking for something. Because it wasn't that I got out, I was discharged on my own accord.
Yes.
I was discharged medically.
Okay.
So, because of what happened in combat.
Sure.
So, as a result, I have to admit I was lost.
Yes.
And big time lost.
Yes. Yes.
So, when I went to college, before I even went to college, I decided I was going to go back into the military, or not military, but I was going to work as a private contractor and go back and diffuse mines.
Okay.
Because that was part of my background as an
Sure.
engineer. So I was going to go back, diffuse mines for, at the time they were offering like $100,000, to do that a year.
Wow.
But the dangers of it is, okay, if you go to do that, are you
Yeah.
going to even see it to make, to spend it?
Yeah. Exactly.
So, and at that time, I'm not going to lie, I was living in a state where I didn't care if I died or not.
Okay.
So I looked at it as, well, if I do this, that's money for my family.
Sure.
And for myself, oh well.
Sure.
And that's literally how I looked at it.
Sure.
And,
Sure.
I've told this to my wife understands it. And I didn't even realize I was suffering from PTSD when I came back.
Yeah.
So, so when I decided, a friend of mine that I went to high school with, he was a year under me, he had already attended college, but then he dropped out, but then he was looking to go back, but he was looking for a roommate.
Yes.
So between him and his mother, they kind of talked me back talked me into going to college. So I ended up going to college, and because I'm from Beloit, so
Yes. Yeah.
I went to Whitewater, to UW Whitewater for college. So then from there, I started, looking for something, because I was still lost. Because look, when I was in the military, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to go special forces. I wanted to do all that. Because again, I was lost. I was just looking to prove my manhood. It was just to prove myself. That was all it was.
If I may, let me ask this question because you said it a couple of times, and I think that for for our audience, our friends watching, I think it's important to get clarity. You said on more than one occasion that you were lost. Can you kind of unpack that a little bit when you say you were lost?
Oh, yes, definitely. I knew about God. My mom
Mm-hmm.
had raised my brother and I to, with reading the Bible,
Yes.
knowing God,
Yes.
but at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't belong to one specific church or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I went into the military, and I come from a military background,
Yes.
so family, my mom, my father, my uncles, my aunts, and, everybody, military.
Sure.
So in a way, that's all I knew was just military, and so it was kind of, maybe in my own way, I glorified it, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta go do this.
Yes.
But at the same time, I grew up without my father,
Mm-hmm.
so I was dealing with my mom, both my mom and my father grew up, they were in Vietnam and everything.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the stuff that they had done, because they both served in the Pentagon, and then my father went over to Vietnam.
Wow.
So my mom, with her having her top secret clearance, was exposed to a lot of stuff.
Sure.
But it also caused her a lot of grief and a lot of PTSD, because she was dealing with live information
Sure.
from the guys that were getting killed and stuff. So
Yes.
I saw all that at home, her going through her mood swings and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Sure.
And then for me being lost, so when I was throughout my, growing up, I just felt like there was more to life that God wanted me to do. I remember to this day, I think I was like 7 or 8,
Mm-hmm.
riding my bike, and I looked up in the clouds as I was riding. I was just like, is there a God? What do you want me to do if there is a
Wow.
God?
Wow.
So,
See.
and I feel like over the years, as, growing up, I felt God tugging at me, but
Sure.
then I was at the same time, I didn't know how to really access Him, or to really, to allow myself to be close to Him.
And that's such a big piece, because we hear. I know for me, as I listen to you, and even listening to you in relation to my own story, I mean, first and foremost, thank your parents for your collective service. That's something that as much as I desperately desired to do it, I couldn't bring myself to doing it. The branch of the military I wanted to go to, which was the Air Force, I didn't have the foresight to realize, okay, just because you wear glasses, that doesn't mean you can't go.
Right.
Okay, so what if you can't fly a plane?
Right.
There are other things you can do, but I was just so fixated on that. But that's another story for another time. The thing that I kept hearing as I listened to you is what you were living was a manifestation of the word. When it says, it's better to put your trust in God than your confidence in man, because confidence in man sounds great, feels great, until we realize it's not great.
Right.
If that makes sense,
Right.
that a lot of that is really the foundation for my story. But I'm not going to go into my story now. I want to hear the rest of yours. Please continue.
This is great. I mean, I haven't really thought about a lot of this.
Sure.
And this is actually therapeutic for me.
Of course. Yeah.
Because I'm reliving a lot of stuff, thinking about it. But
Yes.
even when, I've had a lot of close encounters growing up.
Okay.
Should have been dead and gone.
Yeah.
All the stuff that I've seen. So, when I was in the military, especially the kind of job that I had as an engineer,
Yes.
there were plenty of times where I know I shouldn't have been. So I felt lost, and that's where I feel a little lost, because I was doing things that I shouldn't have. I wasn't a drinker really.
Right.
So
Right.
my first duty station was in Germany. So when I went to Germany, I graduated early at 17. So I know I'm jumping all over the place. But
You're fine.
I'm kind of bringing it
You're fine. You're
together.
fine.
So when I went into basic training and everything, and then after graduating, I actually went reserves first, because I was going to try to go to Edgewood College.
Okay.
But instead, things didn't work out, so I worked it out where I could go active duty.
Yes.
So I went active duty with Germany first. So being in Germany, I was exposed at 18 by this time to all kind of stuff, going to the clubs and everything like that. Never, no, I'm from Beloit, real small Beloit.
Sure.
At that time, there was only 47,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably even less than that.
Oh wow. Wow.
So to see all this,
Yeah.
and then at the same time, I'm trying to figure out my way.
Yeah.
I'm only a teenager still.
Sure. Sure.
Graduated early.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like I was smart or anything. It just happened to be that I actually graduated early. That was it. I had the credits, so I was like, all right, fine.
Exactly.
I couldn't get into college at that time because we didn't have the money.
Sure.
So then, being in Germany, I'm looking at all kind of things, and I'm being exposed to. I got guys over here who are drinking and smoking, and I see all these guys over on this side who are chasing women, and then I see others who are, trying to make their career in the military. So I'm, in the military, you look at everybody's chest, their badges, and whatever. So I'm
Sure.
thinking, oh man, I want to do this, I want to
Yes.
do that.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm a little afraid
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't truly satisfied with all looking at the
Of course.
badges.
Yes.
I knew I wasn't a drinker or anything like that.
Right.
And like my mom had always told me,
Mm-hmm.
if you get away from the wood, you turn around and you travel, see the world. Don't worry about, hanging out with everybody. So I'm a loner, but my parents, everybody will tell you, I'm a loner.
Sure.
So I was always just saying, okay, you know what? I'll just go and travel. So that's what I did when I was over there. I tried to travel,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I felt lonely.
Yes.
So the one time that I truly would say that I was really exposed to God was when one of the dependents over there, this kid was getting into trouble left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this kid turn around one week,
Mm-hmm.
was getting in trouble left and right, was about to get kicked out of Germany and back to the United States.
Yes. Yes.
Then I turned around and see him the next week. He had completely turned his life over to God.
Wow. See.
And I was going out and about to get into
Sure.
trouble.
Yeah.
And it was a cold night in Germany. I was about to catch the train to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed my train so many times just sitting there, standing on the corner, listening to the witness to me,
Yes.
that I didn't even go and do what I was going to go do. Instead, I went back to the barracks.
See, because God had a divine appointment for you at that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that, right then and there, I knew that, okay, there's something here, that there's more to it.
Most
That,
definitely.
but
Yes.
I couldn't explain it.
Most definitely. Yes. Yeah.
And that's where I was missing, because I couldn't connect.
Mm-hmm.
What was it that I was missing, or put it into words, put it that way.
Sure.
Because I remember this one gentleman from who's a private like myself, we both got to the same unit.
Mm-hmm.
He had gave me my first Bible that, if I remember correctly, his name was Kendall.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember his first name, but I always tried to keep that Bible, and then I read it so much and stuff that, and then I traveled with it so much that it's so torn up, I don't even know where it's at now because I've moved so many different places.
Sure. Of course.
But it was at that point that I knew that, okay, there's a little more to my purpose.
Yes. Yes.
And so I kept fighting it, but then once I left Germany, I got to Fort Hood, Texas.
Yes. Fort Hood. Familiar with it. Very
Yes.
familiar with it. Yes.
So when I was there, I really became exposed to stuff that I wasn't expecting.
Right.
And it wasn't that I was doing drugs or anything.
No.
I've never done drugs.
Yeah. Sure.
I've never even smoked weed before in my life.
Yeah.
So, but it was okay. I saw all these girls.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was like, ooh, I want to get promoted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, what do I do? And again, it was like all this stuff is coming at me, but I never felt satisfied.
Right.
And
Right.
so I didn't allow myself to do certain things like all these other guys were doing.
Sure.
So I was labeled this, that, whatever, and I was just like, well, whatever, man. And at that time, in my mind, I was like, well, you can't whoop me. So, guys, we're always testing ourselves physically, like, oh, can this guy beat me or whatever? In some way, we're testing ourselves.
And this is the thing with and you're absolutely right. With us as men,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, I say it all the time. We think linearly. Point A has to lead to point B, which has to lead to point Z and C, and so on. The thing that becomes dangerous, I feel, that can pull us into these asides, is that we attach a preconceived notion that we have to always be number one and we always have to finish first in this process. If you and I are going from point A to point B, I got to get there before you. You know what I mean? To feel like I've accomplished and I've arrived, and for my part with my journey with it, nowhere near as exciting as yours. But the groundwork was very much the same. I was very much I'd be considered a nerd, really, all through grade school, middle school, and high school. I played a role really well, though. Today I realize now that I was a univert. Like unipolar univert. I could be what I needed to be when I needed to be. I could be the life of the party, proverbial party. I could be super duper quiet. My real persona was somewhere in the middle. And once I found Christ, I realized that that's not abnormal, because Paul says in the Word, I've learned to be all things to all people. But that's by design, so that he could ultimately shine through. He, being Christ, could ultimately shine through. Like you, as I'm hearing and sensing in your journey, the framework and the groundwork God had already laid. We just didn't realize it yet.
Right.
For me, going away to school, first time really being on my own, really excited about it, because I didn't move out to go to school on campus till like my junior year of college. So my first 2 years of college, I was at home. And when I actually, found the fraternity that I was a part of, it was at an event at school, and I was still living at home. And for me, it was a way to connect, because like you said, the girls liked, guys from this particular fraternity. I mean, I'm a firm believer in, you love the sinner, but you hate the sin. I'm not going to put the fraternity out there on blast. We, people that watch this know there are only, 9 of them for our people. So by deductive reasoning, you can find the one, but the through line of all of them is that the foundational things are the same. Being told we're the best fraternity, we're number one, we were first, we were this, we were that. I'm like, oh yeah, well heck, if I'm gonna do this, I want to be at the first one. Well, I want to do something second, And it was really the hype, that drew me in, and the glamour of being wanted, being this person, being looked at in this way. But what happened is that when reality hit, when I said yes to Jesus, I began to realize, wait a minute, there's some things that happen that don't line up with what this framework that God put together and put in my life in place was meant for. And I in my own life, and even in your story, I hear, and I heard what you said about the medals, and I heard what you said about the status, and all those things are very true, because my dad was a military man. Word says it's a way that seems right unto a man, but in the end, it leads to destruction.
Right.
And so often, be it the military brotherhood, be it the fraternal brotherhood, it's so easy to get caught up in the glitz and glamour. It's so easy to get caught up in the trappings that come with it.
Yes.
And the enemy does that by divine design. In his mind, he thinks it's divine. It's not. It's foolishness. But when he can get us to latch on to it, and really make the choice that, yes, I want to make these things first, it puts, and I want to choose my words carefully here, and I want to qualify what I'm about to say. It puts God in a box as it pertains to how he's moving in our lives. Let me explain before anybody, if you say, what do you mean?
Right.
What I mean is this. God can do all things but fail.
Right.
That's understood. The one thing concerning man, and this is the gift, in air quotes, that we took away from what happened in the garden, is the capacity to choose. And because we have the capacity to choose, the one thing that God will not do is not that he cannot do it, but what he will not do is act on our behalf if it's not our choice. If we've not made the decision to allow him to be God, he will not act in the capacity that he fully needs to. Will he make sure that that provision is made for us? Oh yeah, he'll keep it. My grandmother used to always say, God always takes care of fools and babies, and you're far too old to be a baby. That's what she'd always tell me. And he will make provision to allow us and afford us opportunities. Okay, and even with the encounter that you had with the gentleman witnessing to you when you were supposed to get on the train, but that divine appointment was kept by God's angel with you. Who knows what that kept you from? But more importantly, look at what it ushered you into.
Right.
And that's the awesome part about it. So please continue. I want you get to the good part of your story, please.
I really like how
Yeah.
your story as well, because
Sure.
it's really making me think about more of my story as
Yes,
well.
absolutely.
And I wish, and this is where I have to get better at it, and I highly encourage anyone out there to please start reading the Bible.
Please, yes.
Learning it.
Yes.
Because I love the way you can quote scripture, and it just makes it that much more impact on what you're saying.
Yes.
And relating to me and to others.
Sure.
And that's how I was just thinking about, as once I got out and then I ended up going to college.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really impressed about anything with college. All I went in there for was a mission. All right, because I'm a soldier.
Military man, yeah.
Yep.
I get it. Yeah, of course.
So I was like, I'm gonna get in, get out, which I did. Got in, got out in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went on to grad school. But during that time frame,
Yes.
this is where I got sidetracked.
Mm-hmm.
Because my roommate, he was all about, a certain color,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
with the fraternity.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
he wanted to be this, and I started thinking about it eventually.
Yes.
Because at first, and that's how crafty the devil is.
Mm-hmm.
And I shouldn't say it.
No.
Don't.
Oh, yeah.
I'll phrase it this way. I don't want anybody out there. I'm not saying that joining a fraternity or anything like that is all from devil or anything like that. I just know for me,
Mm-hmm.
at the time when I did it,
Yes.
it was only really to prove myself.
Yes.
It was just because I looked at it as because for one, and remember, I was lost.
Right.
Suffering from PTSD that I didn't even know I was suffering from.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was looking at it as, all right, I got to finish something, because prematurely I didn't finish the military the way I wanted to finish it.
Exactly.
And it prevented me from becoming a firefighter, because that's what I really wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So once, this gentleman, my roommate at the time, he kept looking at this particular fraternity.
Yes, of course.
But then I ran into a guy that I grew up with,
Mm-hmm.
who was actually, he knew since first grade.
Mm-hmm.
So we graduated together.
Yes.
He was in the particular fraternity that you had joined.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking to me about it.
Sure.
And so then I started thinking about all of this.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, do I go here? Do I do that?
Yes.
But then I started thinking, what is it about it that I really about it? And all it came down to was stepping. It was just, okay, what number would I be in the line?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
that was really about it.
Sure.
And, the popularity, okay, ooh.
Precisely. Yeah.
So, but I was like you, I could blend in with
Mm-hmm.
anyone, really.
Sure. Sure.
But then I was always still in.
Mm.
So eventually, it's so crazy. It's so because when I finally pledged the first time,
Yeah.
I did it, but I wasn't really satisfied. And then at the time, I did it solo.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
to go through and I say, well, wait a minute, I'm paying for my, I'm putting myself through college
Of
through
course.
GI Bill.
Of course.
My wife then was my girlfriend then at the time.
Right.
She had already just crossed.
Mm-hmm.
And she had said she never wanted somebody to be a part of an organization. She didn't want that because she saw the ins and outs of what was going on.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
And so the other thing that I saw was, well, I won't go into that part of it because, I won't go into that because there's good and bad in everything.
There
But
is.
eventually, what made me stop pledging that first time is I saw some things and had some things done to me that I was like, whoa, hold on.
Exactly.
You,
Exactly.
you're dealing with somebody you don't really know me,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really know you,
Right.
but you're going to trigger something in me
Right.
that
Right.
if I do hurt you,
Right.
now I'm going to end up, one of us going to get hurt. I get maybe get hurt, or you get hurt because you're triggering something in me.
Exactly.
And then it turns out this person that what really caused me to just say skip it is, he was from where I was from, and I didn't even know he had, decided to pledge that. And he just came in one night, during what we would call it, we'll call it a visitation,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I just said, all right, you know what, enough's enough, because I'm not going to mess up my schooling for this
Mm-hmm.
and everything. But then there was that, I allowed that to fester. You know how sometimes you allow that seed because it was an unaccomplished thing.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
as men,
That's the yep.
we got to finish something we start.
That's the hook.
And so I had to go back to do it again the next year. And then also, being a soldier, I was like, that mission wasn't accomplished.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, even though my military days were over with at that point, but still in my mind, again, suffering from PTSD, thinking like, man, I got to finish what I started.
Sure.
I went ahead, did it again.
Sure.
But when I did it again, this time, how should I put it? The first time I did it, God was warning.
Mm-hmm.
James, you're not supposed to be doing this.
Yes.
I got better for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not just for others who want, are in organizations and everything like that. I'm not taking anything away from it. At one point I wanted to, before that, the military was big on, I don't know what you say, it was the compass and the square.
Understood.
So
Yep.
I was going to do that, but then I
Right.
saw some
Mm-hmm.
things that said no.
Right. Right.
And so I
Right.
backed away from that one.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, God was telling me, and this was in '94.
Yeah.
He was telling me,
Sure.
you're not supposed to do this.
Sure.
Did it again in '95. But the time that I did it, I just did not feel comfortable. From the day that I said, yes, I'll do it,
Mm-hmm.
I even got my best friend to write a letter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And to this day, it pains me, because I kept that letter
Sure.
to remind me
Sure.
of what I did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not, to a point, I regret it,
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that, one, I can't believe I even asked my friend to write a letter for this when it should have been something else.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
And again, I'm not trying to take away from
No.
it,
Mm-mm.
but I ended up getting hurt.
Right.
So, when I got hurt, I was literally for about a day and a half paralyzed.
Yeah. Physically hurt.
Physically hurt.
Yeah. See. Yeah.
And so I was dealing with that, and I was left there, and my wife, at the time when I did it the second time,
Yeah.
uh, there was just two of us,
Mm-hmm.
and the other guy's same last name as mine, but no relation.
Of course.
Both it's crazy, both from the same city, but
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
no relation.
Yeah.
He ended up calling her
Mm-hmm.
to tell her what had happened to me, and she came over because these individuals had left,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in my apartment where it happened.
Yeah.
To this day, I still suffer from that situation because
Sure.
where the arthritis
Mm-hmm.
in between my shoulder blades and
Gotcha.
my spine
Of course.
is really messed up.
Yeah.
But that's where, to this day, I'm like, I did this for what reason?
Exactly. For what reason? That's the thing. It's something.
Yeah.
It's
And then
something.
because I stayed with it, I just said, okay, well, I'm hurt. So once I healed up, I decided, okay, I had the opportunity to say, walk away.
The soldier in you kicked in. You had to
I
complete the
had to
mission.
complete it. So I
Yeah.
completed it.
Sure.
But, and then here's the part that got to me, it's always stuck with me, is once I was going to say graduated, but
Yeah.
once I made it,
Yes.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting a whole bunch of stuff, but it was just kind of like, that's it? This is it? Really?
Yeah.
I was shocked, like, oh.
And really, that's how the enemy operates.
Mm-hmm.
That's how sin is. And as I say to you, as I said to our friends that are watching, you know, again, we hate the sin, we love the sinner. I'd be lying if I said that, the men that I went through this exercise with, I'd be lying if I said I didn't consider them brothers. I still do, even though I've walked away from and renounced that vein of my life because of the fundamental tenets that are there that we're going to touch on in a minute. Those men and I share a bond that'll never be broken, you know. And each one of them are still my brother, very much so. They're not my brother in that arena, but they're my brother in a much bigger and much more important arena. First and foremost, they're my brothers in Christ, first and foremost. Secondly, they'll always be my brothers because we have a shared camaraderie, and the military, and I know you understand militarily that, common shared experiences, forges brotherhood. And all of these different aspects that we're talking about are all different aspects that the Bible talks about, and, for me, my journey, there were certain things that happened after my journey. A lot of subjective things happened. Not from a bitter standpoint am I speaking on them. Just things that I observed as I went through process. And then after everything happened, just in my life, situations and circumstances happened where I thought that, in my mind, lines that wound up getting crossed. In my mind, I'm thinking I wouldn't cross that line, but you call yourself my brother and you cross this line. So for me, in really going back and looking more closely at the journey, particularly when I came to know Christ, for me as a pastor, for me as um, uh, um, a believer, and I purposely say that, and I tell people all the time, in my mind and in my understanding, there's a big difference between being a Christian and being a believer. A big difference, okay? And the difference from the standpoint of being a believer is that you not only read about it and understand it, but you strive to live it.
Yes.
And that's why I say I will never discredit, discount, assuage any man or woman that makes the decision to go forward and be part of these fraternal and sorority organizations. They do great work. They do phenomenal work. The key with anything is to guard your relationship and keep first things first. You know, we should never, ever, ever, ever put ourselves in a position where we seek to reverence anyone or anything before God. We put anyone or anything above God, where we pledge our fealty and allegiance to anyone other than God. The word makes it crystal clear. I'm the Lord, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, brought you out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. Period. And it's so easy because the enemy will make it so easy. It's not really God. It's just a little G. Just. If you call him this, you don't really mean it. It's just a. But what happens is, and again, it's all about relationship. And I tell people all the time, we have to remember from whence we've come. And when I say we, not only we as black men, but I mean we as human beings, we as mankind, we have to remember from whence we've come. And I'm not talking about the Darwinian theory of from whence we've come. I'm talking about the word. You know, Genesis 1:26, when the board meeting took place in heaven between the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, it was decided that man was going to be made in God's image to look like him, but more importantly, in God's likeness to function like him. And the way that God functions, with the exception of making us, is by his word. Our words carry weight. So when we put ourselves in a position so that we're being summoned to call this individual something that should be reserved for God, that should be a red flag. That should definitely be a red flag, because our words carry weight. The Bible says clearly you can't serve God and mammon. You got to love one and hate the other. Mammon is so much deeper than just money. You know, it ain't just money. Money is just an example. You know, you can't serve God and serve what you deem as a natural representation of God, a small God. You got to love one and hate the other one. And if you have anything, and this is in my mind, in God's economy of scale, if you have any type of loyalty or fealty to that mammon, you've made your decision. Because with God, it's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. And it's a hard road to walk. It's a hard road to walk. It's a hard road to home, like my dad used to say, because he's from the South. But we have to be mindful, I feel, that when we truly begin to live out what the word says, Bible says, if any man be in Christ, he's what? A new creature. Old things have passed away. You know, when I truly came to know Christ, and I truly received the calling that God had on my life, that was something I had to find a way to reconcile. And for me, the only reconciliation was I got to walk away from this, because this does not line up with the calling that I have. This does not line up with what you've called me to do. Again, I know men of God that very much are anointed, very much walk in the scope of ministry that God has given to them, and I'll never begrudge any of them, and are proud members of fraternal organizations that they've chosen, you know, mine and others. And I will never begrudge them. I will never question their anointing. I will never question the calling that God has placed on their lives. The only question I would pose is that, you know, how does this reconcile with the relationship that you have with God? I'm not asking for an answer, because only you know that, and God knows that. All I can do is speak for me in my walk as a believer, because our walks as believers, I feel, are relative. You know, they're based on our personal relationship and where we place God in our lives. You know,
people are watching us.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm not going to say that I'm this perfect person or anything like that. I'm far from perfect.
No lie, I'm very much far from perfect.
And, you know, but each time that I pledge, you know, before you pledge, you go through your little smoker, they call it. You know?
Of course.
And I posed a question, and it wasn't really so much for them.
Sure.
It was for myself.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I wish I would have listened to it, but it was, I said, well, how can I pledge three letters. You
Mm,
should be pledging three letters that says GOD.
that part.
And instead, I chose gold because people were hyping it up.
Of course. Of
Oh,
course.
these
Larger
letters,
than
you
life.
know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Larger
they
than
was,
life. You're the this, you're the that. You know, you can do this, you can do that. We had this person that did it. We had that
yeah,
person that did it.
oh, man,
And
yes.
and again, it and all of those things are effective.
Yes.
And the enemy, and I tell people this is one of the first things that the Holy Spirit allowed me to learn as he opened the word to me. Satan does not have the capacity to create anything other than confusion.
Mm-hmm.
All he can do is recreate things through conditions that he'll make favorable through perversion and corruption.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
What do you mean? What I mean is this. He'll take names because we all want to feel like we belong.
Right.
We all want to feel like we're part of something. We all want to. I know him. I know him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's one of ours.
Yep. Oh.
You know, and every individual that pledged every one of the Divine Nine out there can say, he's one of ours. She's one of ours. There's someone of prominence in our community that's a part of each one of these organizations.
Yes.
But the question that I would pose to my brothers and my sisters that are in the organizations is this. As prominent as that individual is, and I'll not take any of the accomplishments that they've made away from them, nor will I take the pride that they feel in their respective organization away from them. How many of those individuals can have a direct effect on where you spend eternity?
Mm. Mm.
And the answer that I came back with was none. And when I looked at the one fraternity, if you will, the one brotherhood, the one family that truly matters, the credo to that one isn't this prerequisite, that prerequisite. The credo to that one simply says, come unto me, all ye that are labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. These letters won't do it. These colors won't do it. That step show won't do it. You know, it won't do it. I will give you rest. And he goes even further. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me because I'm meek and lowly in heart. I'm not going to put you through paces that are uncomfortable for you to learn, but very much the opposite. It goes on to say that you'll find rest unto your soul because my yoke is easy and my burden is light. In other words, the family and the brotherhood that God desires to usher us into through Christ is a true brotherhood, the true fraternal dynamic that God wants us to have, because that dynamic ushers us into the benefits that matter. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's great to be popular. Yeah, it's great to because you look good in a set of colors. Yeah, it's great to say I got this, I got that. Yeah, it's great to say this person put this in my pocket or this person opened this door to help me get that job. The one thing I found is that during my time when I was active with my fraternity, I met a lot of brothers that are wonderful people. Never had an opportunity to step into a position as a result of that. Each position I've gotten, each promotion I've gotten, each elevation I've gotten, in every position that I've had that's been of a measure of prominence and of a measure of relevance in my life, God opened the door for me to walk into that.
Yes.
And God opened the door for every advancement to happen. And the word says that he's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. If I got a friend like that can do that for me, and this is not about what have you done for me lately. In my world, I believe in our world, this is not what we're seeking to tell you, friends. This is not about a what have you done for me lately proposition. This is about understanding the age-old adage. It's not what you know, but it's truly who you know. Okay? And the who that we're speaking of carries a whole lot more clout than any founders of any one of these organizations.
Way more thought.
Yes.
Yes. Because, I love the way you phrase this. And I'm listening to you and I'm just like, well, because I've got friends now who are part of the fraternity. Now,
of course,
none of us are really active.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I haven't been active in years because I just felt like okay, this is not me.
Right. Right.
And but I told those guys, and these guys, you know, I hate to say it, but I kind of made them,
Mm-hmm.
because they came in after I did.
Sure. Sure.
But I didn't take them through when I went through it, and I try to prep or make it seem like, oh well, I didn't do what was done to me,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't, because when I went in, I was older than most of them.
Sure.
Because I came in, I was also more mature in a way because I had already seen a lot. So I tried to let them know, and I told all of them, look, you were my friend first.
Absolutely.
Before
Yeah.
these colors.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
when these colors are gone, what's left?
Right.
If I'm going to be your friend for life, as long as, we're there, I'll be your friend. These colors, okay, they can go any day, anything, you know?
It's funny, and I don't mean ha ha funny. It's funny. When I sat down and really looked at it, you know, um, in so many ways. In many instances, the only difference between in many instances in some places, let me put it that way, because again, hate the sin, love the sinners. I'm not talking about brothers and sisters out there that have opted to be parts of these organizations. There's good and bad everywhere, and good far outweighs bad in all of them. In some instances, though, the only difference between a fraternity and a gang is literally the words and how they carry themselves.
Yes.
And
yes.
I've seen that mentality.
Yes.
I went to parties before I stepped out of it and saw that mentality. Never mind one fraternity towards another,
Right.
but even within your own fraternity,
Oh.
mindsets from chapter to chapter, philosophies from dean to dean, things that have been deemed important from fraternity member to fraternity member. God is not the author of confusion.
Right.
He's not.
Not.
And when those things are there, yet another red flag to really stop and ask the question, no matter whom sits in positions of prominence, no matter whom sits on your board, role, group of jewels, whatever you want to call them, of individuals that are deemed as founders of this organization, do any of them have the capacity to alter your eternal standing with God if your life were required of you today? And I'll stand by my answer that it's no. I'll stand by that.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And if by chance, that is in fact the case, and you find that answer is no, then the question I would say you'd want to ask yourself is, what is my standing with God if something were to happen to me today?
Right.
I heard you loud and clear when you said during your journey in this vein that you were injured. And I praise and thank God that you're here because, number one, your supply is much needed in the earth. Number two, I would have never gotten the opportunity to meet a good friend.
Right.
Right. But for every individual that was able to be on this side to talk about their experience, there's someone that's not here to talk about it.
So many who aren't here.
Yeah.
Because either they, sunk into deep depression
Yes.
over this.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Because let's face it, you are allowing yourself to go through something, and these people who are taking you through this,
Yes.
they don't know your background.
Right.
They're not psychologists or anything like that.
Right.
And some of these people, let's face it, they do some crazy stuff. The mind will think of crazy stuff.
Absolutely.
To put somebody else through
Absolutely.
it, just to say, oh, okay, yeah, this is making you stronger to be my brother. So it's like you said, there isn't really too much of a difference between a gang and, in a fraternity. And I mean this in the sense that, okay, you're being jumped in a way.
Sure.
Because some people will say, "Oh no, it's not like that." This and that. I understand.
You know, from being in the military, this is mental warfare. This is mental abuse.
It
This
is
is emotional abuse. And again, looking at the pool, by and large, now, I'm not saying every individual, because again, this is not every individual
right.
story.
It's not.
I feel that one of the primary through lines is a need slash sense of belonging, a need slash sense of connectivity and connection to something bigger than one's self that one can put their credence and loyalty into. I feel that there's a need, a desire to sow one's time and talent and even treasure into something that's going to benefit and help others.
Right.
All of which fraternities and sororities do.
They do that. That is true.
However, to the degree that some, how do I put this? The what you get from it is not worth what you pay for it to obtain it.
Yes.
And that's the point, friends, that we're trying to drive home. You know, by no means are we looking to disparage any organization.
Right. Right.
But what we want to do is strive to encourage you to keep the main thing. And for those of you that watch the podcast, you know we take practical things, practical day-to-day, week-to-week things, and look at them against the backdrop of Scripture. And my hope, my prayer, my desire is that for your homework this time, between now and when we come together again, really think about it against the Ten Commandments. Since we're talking about being number one, okay, what's the first commandment? Love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your strength.
Yes.
Put no other God before him. James, thank you
Thank
for
you
being
so
with us.
much.
Thank you for being with us this week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This, you really helped me put this really even more into perspective
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
reinforce my belief why I feel like
Sure.
I want to be closer to God.
Mm-hmm.
Because without God, sure, you can be temporarily happy,
Sure. Absolutely.
but with God,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be truly happy.
Yes.
And God has brought me through too much.
Yes.
Way through too much. And like I said, my wife, who denounced, she denounced.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm basically, you could say, even though I'm not active, I'm denouncing. I'll tell you all. I'm going to go back and tell my wife. I'm no longer, I don't see myself a part of that organization. I don't want to say the name.
Sure. Sure.
Those who watch this, if you recognize me, you'll know which one I was with.
Absolutely. Same. Same here.
I don't feel the need to say I want to be with them or anything like that.
Right.
I don't do it now anyway.
Exactly. Same.
So it's just like I'm not missing anything.
I'm not missing a thing. Not missing a thing.
But I really thank you for allowing me to do this.
Sure.
And this was needed.
Yeah.
This was really needed. And I say that especially for me, because
Yeah.
I really needed it.
Well, we needed it, and people need it, and this is to be continued. I mean, by no means are we done. We're just getting started. We will, as the Lord allows, we will come back and revisit, and you're welcome anytime. I appreciate you being here.
Really
I appreciate you being here. No,
I'm
you're
so
very
glad
welcome.
that you have your podcast. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
No problem. No problem. That's all we have for this week's edition of the Word of Witness podcast. Everyone, if this week's podcast has been a blessing to you, please scan the QR code at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you tell other people about it. Subscribe and share, because what we strive to do, again, is share information that truly makes a godly difference in the lives of people. We want to be different. We want to be peculiar because we've been created to be that way. And the only way we can be that way is by making and keeping God first. Until next time, this is Pastor Derek Thomas encouraging you to walk humbly, love deeply, and always remember that if you truly want to be number one, make Christ first in your life. I'll see you next time. God bless.